First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the PrizePicks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on PrizePicks for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
We'll talk about that Comets game coming up last night as the city bid farewell in a kind of an odd way, right? Normally we're so used to full house, sold out. None of that was the case.
It's a pretty big crowd though last night.
It was for where we've been. Rachel Sutherland standing by on the line right now. Yesterday it came just as expected. Rachel, the vote to oust Liz Cheney. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Yes, this only took about 15 minutes. The GOP conference going behind closed doors. It took a voice vote, which just means the yeas drowned out the nays there. But before that vote, Congresswoman Cheney gave another speech. She started by saying she has affection and admiration for many in the room, but said that our nation needs this Republican Party as a strong party based on truth so we can shape the future. Went on to talk about what she described as President Trump's lies about the 2020 election. And pretty much it was over almost as soon as it got started. Apparently she got booed and then was voted out. It could be that as soon as today, there will be a leadership conference that will meet a candidates forum where they're looking at least Stefanik to replace Liz Cheney as GOP conference chair. But there could be a bit of a wrinkle there for Stefanik. Looks like Chip Roy, the Texas congressman, is also considering launching a bid for that position. He says it shouldn't be a coronation. Rather, it should be an election.
Okay. That's going to be pretty interesting. And, we were talking yesterday and through the week about Stefanik and her rise from being just a freshman to someone who I think it was Chris Wallace did an interview with her and called her a rising star maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And look where she is right now.
Right, to be up for this kind of position.
Yeah.
It does show that she really has risen up quite a bit. Also, when it comes to Liz Cheney looking out in the future, what's the top, other than her motivation that she really is standing on principle, she'd be looking at a 2024 run. That would be one question I would ask of her for the White House.
Yeah. Okay, going to be interesting. And Rachel, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Rachel Sutherland from Fox News. We mentioned last night the Comets played their final home game with Vancouver, and it was symbolic, and it was a little piece of history, right?
Yeah, it was. It was sad. It's sad.
It was a little sad, and they showed some videos that I thought were really nice. Mm-hmm. And they went back through the 8 years of the Comets, and so there's a video up and a story up on our website that has the video in there, which is the final minute of play and then the minute after play, and how they got the ovation, how the players reacted. There were some players waving to fans as they went out, and had to look very different. I would say. What's the capacity right now? It's still only 20% or something like that. Where
indoor? I think it minimum 25, maybe 33.
It doesn't start whatever is coming next doesn't start until the 19th. There are a lot of changes going into play on May 19th. But for that arena, which is normally sold out on a normal night if the season were ending, it would be sold out. And it certainly has been a crazy year for these players. And this has been and then you find out you're playing, they're playing for something. They're playing to make their way up to the NHL. But they're not playing for a playoff game. That, I think, took the wind out of a lot of those players, out of their sails just a bit.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So if you want to check that video out, it's 2 minutes long, and I just thought it's their last time. After this, they head out to Rochester, and then they'll all gather their things and and everybody will scatter and head home. They'll be playing in Abbotsford next week. And I heard one person talking next year. Sorry, I heard one person technically this year, but
right. Next season, I guess.
I think these players have come to really like it here, and are not necessarily looking forward to moving on to that city. So I find that kind of interesting. What else? How about the? It's worth talking about the change in the forecast.
It's nice. Sunny, 70.
We were watching the game last night in Manasseh. It was breaking news for you.
It was. I looked at my phone and everything. 7 days out. There might have been one day where there was a chance of rain. All sunshines, and other than today, which was 67, they were all 70s or better. Now, is that still the same case this morning?
Well, my app is a little different than yours. Mine is I guess this is the Weather Channel app. And you're on, I don't know what app. You're on the regular weather app, I think, which I think they draw off this, so I don't know why it's different. But at least I'm listed as in Marcy, if you're ready. In Marcy, 67 today. 69 tomorrow, which you just know it's probably going to hit 70 tomorrow, right? 70 Saturday, 71 on Sunday, 71 Monday, and then 70, 71, 71, 69, 72, and going through like that.
About time.
And it is about time. Yesterday was actually pretty nice, although all of a sudden a big cluster of clouds would come through and it would get a bit windy, but yesterday was pretty nice. Yeah. So, but you're right, after this period of cold and rain, and despite the fact that there's frost on the ground out there this morning, we have some pretty nice weather on the way. Today, John Decker is on early. We're going to speak to him from Gray TV. There's a lot to talk about there. Samantha Colosimo Testa, Council-at-Large candidate in Utica. She is inquiring about the federal funds for Utica. And the county executive, Piseni, mentioning that his belief is that it should be this money, we should all have one cause, and everybody should work together, basically pooling their money. Mm-hmm. How quickly do you feel, though, you're going to get resistance from municipalities, and especially the towns and villages out there?
Well, yeah, I'm sure that they feel that they know where they want to spend that money already, even though I think the guidelines just came out. Hopefully they can pool it together. That's going to be the most beneficial thing. But
I like the pooling it. I just think you're gonna get a fight.
I'm sure you will.
And
somebody.
Let's see what she has to say on this later on. Dan Khalil is on. He's the Chief Commercial Officer and CEO of Gray Castle Security, and that's out at
it's division or in association with AIS,
and out at Griffiths. And he's going to talk about this cyber attack on the pipeline, which is back up and running. I wonder if I don't think we paid, did we?
I don't think we did. No.
I have a friend I was speaking to last night who is somebody who's worked in government. His opinion, which it's just us, we might as well be sitting and having coffee at the corner in McDonald's.
Right.
And I'm not downplaying his opinion, but in terms of in the group of all of us, one was military, he was former government, and he said he feels that normally the Russians don't ask for money, while the government is saying this is a rogue Russian group, not necessarily tied to Vladimir Putin. He said he feels it looks more like something that North Korea might do. So, but you have to ask yourself now, obviously, do we trust what our government is telling us? Of course we do. But is there a little piece in the back of our minds that's saying, if it was North Korea, do you think we'd want to give them credit for it? I mean, this country that can barely get a rocket off the ground, that they could do something like that to a country the size of ours, the scale of ours? I don't think we'd ever admit that that's the case.
So you think it's we've got to say it's somebody. We're saying it's the wrong person intentionally so that we don't give them credit?
I think it's Russia. But I think that theory, which came from two people that I respect, I I'll tell you this: if we were able to have a judge and a jury, I wouldn't, or maybe a Vegas, I wouldn't bet against their theory. Because think about it. I mean, you wouldn't give them credit for it. But wouldn't they be out saying it was us?
Yeah, taking credit. Yeah.
I would think they would want to take credit.
And have they
for it.
ruled out a domestic person doing this?
No, I think it's they have pointed. Yeah, they've pointed to this group in Russia. Anyway, Dan Khalil will be on. We'll speak with him and see what he thinks. But the thing that I do feel like scares us the most is all of a sudden the panic that occurred.
Oh, it's even happening here.
I've heard this.
How many states?
BJ's gas station was nuts yesterday, and then I think somebody said one of the other gas stations in Whitesboro was out of gas.
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness!
I had a different experience. I had an increase in gas. Now, it may have been the pepper type food that I was eating. I don't know, but it was the meatballs. But overnight, it was a very interesting increase. Stomach ache, basically.
Right.
You know. Yeah, I think that it. I wrote a couple of nights ago that it's crazy, paranoid people that are watching the national news and being, oh my God, I better go get the gas. I better get gas. And part of it, you got to be fair. Who would have thought we would have been dealing with a toilet paper shortage?
Right, that's true.
I mean,
of all things
in the world. And I recall last year doing the same. I'm watching the woman walk out of Target with piles of toilet paper. Like, what is she going to do with that? And my wife is like, well, maybe she works at a group home. I don't think so. I don't think she does. Or did.
No.
But people panic, and this is what causes the shortages. So we'll talk more about that.
Right. It's almost like a fake or a faux shortage because there actually isn't a shortage. Anyway, so is there a state of emergency in how many states? I thought I heard.
I know there was in North Carolina 2 days ago. That's what Christine Bellino said already. 4, a state of emergency because of this. And then, you're watching all these people wait in line, and Manaski, you made the point yesterday. It's like,
what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for? If there's a big sign that says we're out of gas, what are you...
It's a statement.
You're wasting gas.
Right, and if there's a big truck coming to refuel, you're blocking them.
I know.
So I don't know what you're doing sitting there.
I know. Let's see.
No, but you hit the nail on the head with your story and about the.
Thank you.
People.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Because it is. People need to relax. It's not a shortage here yet.
Yeah, but
we'll be if you keep that up.
We'll make it that way, and it's just like what happens when they predict a blizzard. What everybody goes out
milk and bread
and milk, bread, and eggs. Like you really need that stuff. Come on, it's high in carbs. Very high in carbs.
Exactly.
Let's see. If we were to talk. So I realize there's Liz Cheney in the news. There's the money, and we're going to talk about the money. We'll get into that today. Samantha Colasa-Moltesta, federal funds coming to town. There's the attack, this cyber attack. I mean, these are all heavy stories. If we could find a nice human interest story, what would you choose? Something maybe. With music, Andrew, would you get down that road?
I would love that.
All right. Quickly, grab Tanya Powers and see if she can do a quick thing on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All right, here she is. She's on the line now. Very fast, Andrew. Tanya, we need you.
I'm always here for you on this topic. You know that.
We need a distraction here.
Help us, Tanya Powers. You're our only hope.
And,
whoa, no pressure.
And, of course, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the inductees have been announced. And, Tanya, we talk about this story every year. And every year we come back and are frustrated with who is being inducted. And I hope there'll be no frustration this year.
Well, you're frustrated with it.
You're right.
I'm okay
right.
with it. And, by the way, Andrew, I'm always here for your Star Wars references.
Mm-hmm.
So this year's inductees... I think we probably talked about who was nominated a few months ago when the big long list came out.
Yep.
The inductees were announced yesterday. The inductees are Jay-Z, the Foo Fighters, the Go-Go's. By the way, all three of those, this is the first time on the ballot for all three of those.
Wow.
Tina Turner, Carole King, Todd Rundgren finally made it in. LL Cool J, These are the performers that have made it in for this year. The Musical Excellence Awards are Billy Preston and Randy Rhoads. Early Influencer Awards are Kraftwerk, Gil Scott-Heron, and Charlie Patton. By the way, if you're wondering who Charlie Patton is, father of the Delta Blues, pride of Sunflower County, Mississippi. So,
and that's probably something that you know very well.
Yeah, without him, there wouldn't have been, there wouldn't have been a lot of other folks. I mean, he was active between 1916 and 1934. So, you can think of all of the, the different, hardcore blues. I mean, if you saw Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, that movie, or have been, familiar with the Delta Blues in any way at that time, he's the guy who influenced these folks. So that's pretty substantial. But yeah, this is by the way, Dave Grohl, Carole King, and Tina Turner, all of which have, gotten in again this year. That brings the number of artists inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice to 26 now. Stevie Nicks was the only woman, and that happened a few years ago.
Yeah.
Like in the last, 3 years, maybe. And now Carole King, and Tina Turner are all in it twice. Grohl was already in it with Nirvana from the class of 2014. Tina Turner was already in from the class of 1991 for Ike and Tina Turner. This is just her by herself. And then Carole King was already in for 90 or 91, one or the other, with Jerry Goffin. They won the Ahmet Ertegun Award.
How are these artists not in on their own? Like Aretha Franklin and Carole King, right? How are they not in on their own until now?
You mean Tina Turner?
Or Tina Turner, I'm sorry. Yeah. Tina Turner and Carole King are so legendary. You would think they would be automatic, Well,
yeah. I mean, I would have thought Stevie Nicks would have gone in by herself way before, a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I was there when she was inducted a few years ago, and it was just, it was stunning to watch and to think about the fact that you've had, at that point, what was almost 24 performers, guys who were in twice.
Yeah.
And then finally, she kind of breaks the barrier for women there. By the way, 5 of the 6 inducted performers are still working artists. So you're getting into the category of, more of the ones who are still out there performing versus, there for a long, long time, there was a historical sort of thing. They had to honor people who weren't with us anymore, who weren't performing anymore.
Right.
We've been in the still working artist thing for a little bit. Now that's even more common. They'll be inducted, by the way, in Cleveland on October 30th. They're hoping to have a big old packed house for that.
Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah.
Yeah. Tickets go on sale in July for anybody who's interested in making a trip to Cleveland. But yeah, this is a pretty big deal to even have been eligible. Artists have to have released their first record 25 years prior to their induction. So it takes a while to get people on the ballot.
I can only say that I say this every year, and I just feel that the name should be changed from Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to maybe Music Hall of Fame or something like that, because a lot of the artists are not necessarily rock and roll. But yeah, I feel like this is still a new Hall of Fame, even though it's been around, and they're just kind of figuring their things out. Whereas the Baseball Hall of Fame has been around for so long, I feel like that is all well organized, and when someone's eligible to go in, if they're worthy, there might be a controversy, but nothing like this, where you have just amazing artists that are just not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but I mean, when you think about rock and roll, I always counter with the question, okay, define rock and roll, because it has changed so much since the 50s when that phrase was coined.
Right.
Baseball is still baseball. It's pretty. If you think about it, you've got the Football Hall of Fame and then Baseball Hall of Fame or whatever. You play that sport, that's the one you're eligible for. Period.
Right.
The idea of baseball it doesn't morph into something else. It doesn't change. It's still baseball. But music, genres change, and what was rock and roll back in the 50s was not that in the 70s or the 90s or now.
Yeah. That's a very good point. And once again, I feel schooled. And we and Tanya, we appreciate that.
I don't need to get on my soapbox and lecture.
I only learn from you, and I appreciate it. So, but it's a great story, and what the best story of all will be is if this event can go on with a full arena, a full house. That'll be the thing I think we most celebrate coming up later in the year, right?
I can't wait to see who inducts each of these artists. That's the thing. That's the thing that I've begun to really watch is the artists they choose to induct them. I think that says a lot, too. But, yeah, October 30th is their induction ceremony.
And by the way, if I could go into my parlay folder this morning, Mighty John, the record guy, moneymusic.com. This guy knows more about, he's from Maine, and he knows more about vinyl off the top of his head than anyone I've ever met in my life. He'll be on you. If you have any records or anything, any vinyl like that, let us know, and we'll check the value for you.
Ooh, that should be fun. That'll be a fun segment.
It is a cool segment. So, all right, Tanya, have a wonderful day in rock and roll world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Tanya, J. Powers from, it's funny because when you say to somebody rock and roll, I think of like 50s and 60s. When you get to the late Beatles, I feel like it goes from rock and roll to rock.
Okay.
And then but then on top of it, rock and roll.
They eliminated the roll.
Rock and roll, to me, in my mind, in the 50s and 60s, included artists like the Shirelles, as well as somebody that that was more of a rock type, like the Kinks or something like that.
Okay.
And then as we got into the 70s, it became rock music, and then. Rock became the stuff that was
classic rock.
harder. There was classic rock, but rock became on radio in the 90s, in the 80s and 90s. Rock became that harder rock. It transferred. So then that's when everything kind of went into its own little category, right? You had pop, you had rap, you had rhythm and blues, you had rock. I don't know. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, my definition of it today, just doesn't. I would never disagree with Tanya on the air while she's with us, but after she leaves, well, I just don't. I don't feel like it's more of a music thing.
Yeah, I will say this though: the Music Hall of Fame, it doesn't have the pop that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame does.
Good point. And did you use the word pop for a reason?
I didn't. It was by accident.
As in pop music versus
correct.
Pop goes the weasel.
Yes, it was an alternative way of wording it.
Okay, good enough. So kind of interesting, the names. The other part of this is think of the artists that we have lost so early, young artists that have died. Even like a Michael Jackson and Tom Petty and Cobain, and I mean it's just really unbelievable the numbers that we've lost. That who knows what they would be performing today, right? It's crazy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, what's his face there, Mick Jagger? You couldn't.
Keith Richards, of course.
Keith Richards,
has
excuse
been,
me.
Both of them, but Keith Richards looks dead.
Yes,
he's looked dead for several years, but he's not. Let's see. What else did I want to get to here this morning? We will talk to Dr. Kent Hall this morning. Later in the 8 o'clock hour, and I have to wonder. 7 coaches for the New York Yankees. Is that the number right now?
Yeah.
I would assume all 7 are vaccinated. All have tested positive for COVID-19. That would mean what?
One of the somebody sent us a message on the app yesterday. I don't see it here. Maybe it was Richard, but it was basically, you on the air. I said something like 95%, but that's for. What is that for Moderna and Pfizer? Johnson was in the 65%.
Yeah. And that might even have raised just a little bit to the low 70s. But at the same time, what Johnson & Johnson says, it's more effective in keeping people out of the hospital and with lower symptoms. And it seems like these coaches for the Yankees are all asymptomatic, right?
Yeah, I think they're okay. I don't think anybody's going to the hospital or
anything.
No one's going to the hospital or anything.
So I just, I don't know. In Ohio, did you see what they're doing?
No.
In order to get people vaccinated. Ohio is going to hold 5 $1 million lotteries for residents who've gotten the COVID vaccine.
Stop.
And teens who get the vaccine will get a chance to get a 4-year scholarship to go to school. Here's Governor Mike DeWine speaking about exactly what they are doing to get people vaccinated in Ohio. Coming right up.
Wednesday, May 26th, we will announce the winner of a drawing of all those 17-year-olds and under who have been vaccinated, and the winner will receive a full 4-year scholarship to any one of our state universities. This will include tuition, room and board, and books. Now let's talk about adults. On May 26th, we will announce a winner of a separate drawing for adults who have received at least their first dose of the vaccine. This announcement will occur each Wednesday for 5 weeks, and the winner each Wednesday will receive $1 million.
I love it. I think we ought to do it. We'd be automatically in for the drawing right
and
now.
I like that too, because some of these other incentives post people getting them.
Well, what happens is some of these other incentives, they've consulted with the cable company, and if you're already a customer, you don't get the deal. You don't get the deal. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the same thing here.
That's a good point. I should have held out for the best deal, like a free agent.
Right. That's right.
All right, can you throw in maybe some big bag of dog food? I'll take $50. How about a couple dinner gift certificates? And a chance at $1 million.
Loan forgiveness, great.
I do think this is kind of a cool idea. It's and is this what we have to do to get people in? All of a sudden, the degenerate gambler out there that's like, I'm not getting this shot. Yes, I am.
How much is that, $1 million?
How many people do you think who haven't gotten it, like let's say in our area, would do it if you were in $1 million lottery drawing?
I don't know. But
I still think a lot of them would object. They would actually think that this is more of a reason to think the government's pulling a wool over your eyes when they're incentivizing it this much. But I would like a shot at the $1 million.
I don't want any vaccine lottery downtown. Right? That would go on in Utica. Definitely. Anyway, Dr. Hall, the question will be: it is interesting how, and I think he's kind of talked about this. The whole key to the vaccine is to lower the amount of people that have it. Therefore, you have less contact, and it's not. I guess this will be the question that I'll have: is it 95 in 100 people? Or do you have 95 in 100 chances if you come in contact with being resistant to the virus? Do you know what I'm saying? So the efficacy is at 95%. What does that mean? Does that mean that only 5% of Americans will get it, or that you have a 5% chance of getting it? I think it's you, if coming in contact, you have a 5% chance in getting it. So you could have a cluster of people that would all get it, like these Yankees coaches.
Interesting. And I'll note again, so when you're talking 95, though, with the shots they got, you're talking 68 or 71.
Okay, so we know they got
were all
Johnson.
They were all one shots, yeah.
Okay, all right. Interesting. Well, today is National Apple Pie Day, if you care.
Okay.
I don't know if you do care. But,
is it apple pie with a slice of cheese on top of it?
You could add that, but that should be added only on National Cheese Day.
You never had that?
No.
A family in Virginia, we had this story yesterday, but I'm learning more, couldn't afford their puppy's $700 vet bill when it came down with the virus, a virus. But their 8-year-old son loves the puppy, so he took matters into his own hands and set up a booth on the side of the road to sell his Pokemon cards. Remember when they used to sell, people would collect them, and it was apparently that still exists.
Yeah, it's back now.
His mom posted a photo of it, and people donated over $1,900 for the kid. Crazy.
He wasn't coming out of his cage and being the normal puppy that he usually is. Just not doing good.
Made me kind of sad because usually my brother and my sister play together. So I usually get one pie of him.
I get a text message with a picture of him selling his Pokemon cards.
So I just decided to sell them. I made $65 the first night before anybody knew. I was so happy because I wanted to get him back.
Well, there you go.
How old is the kid?
I think 8 years old.
That's really sweet. Now, here's my question. He said he made $65 the first night before anybody knew. And then it's $1,900 they raised via donations. So
GoFundMe. So some of it.
So he didn't have to sell his cards after all.
Some of it did not involve the cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
What else here? How about this is a great story and just stupid because it happened in Florida, and that's where fun stories come from. A 28-year-old woman has been charged with trespassing and has now been ordered to stay away from a high school in Miami. What did she do? She pretended to be a student. Her name is Audrey Nicole Fransquini, and she thought it would be a good way, by pretending to be a student and going to school, she thought it would be a good way to gain what? This is your chance. Let's start with Manaski. It'd be a good way to gain what?
Followers on Instagram.
Absolutely correct. He always ruins the contest.
Are you serious?
That's what she was doing.
God.
I mean, come on, right?
That's like Billy Madison. Only he can go back to school.
She,
how old?
She was 28, or is 28, and here's some audio on this one.
She pretends to be a student, is walking around this high school, handing out pre-printed pamphlets with her social media Instagram name on it.
She's trying to get people to follow her on Instagram.
What I find, though, is at 28, you're 10 years older than the rest of these kids.
Right.
And you're probably able to blend in a lot better than someone if I were to do this. And let's say I looked young, which I don't. Just the mere break in pop culture, the fact that, but she's only 10 years older, so you would think she'd be able to blend in, and she didn't. They caught on to her, and
how dumb. So, is she some type of an influencer, or she wants to be?
Well, she wants to be,
okay.
And chances are people are going to go follow her now. What kind of crazy thing is she going to do next?
Wow.
Today, I'm going to pretend to be an inmate.
I bet she
in
would
a jail.
She would get a lot of the high school boys to follow her if she was putting up inappropriate pictures.
Well, she might be. California man was arrested for riding in the back seat of a Tesla. Now, we just had a horrible accident with this.
Is this another fatal that they're talking about?
No, there was no accident.
I've read a story this morning that there was another deadly crash that wasn't being investigated.
This is not an accident. A California man has been arrested for riding in the back seat of a Tesla, which has a partially automated driving feature.
Oh, okay.
Param Sharma has apparently done this before and plans on doing it again. Here he's being asked about it by a news agency out in the Bay Area. Here we go.
It's just so dangerous. Cars are dangerous when they're being driven by humans. They're dangerous when they're being driven by robots that haven't been certified.
I've been brake checked before really hard, and the car stopped. It came to a complete stop. Like, Elon Musk really knows what he's doing, and I think people are just tripping and they're scared.
What he brings up, it's almost as if he's doing this as a protest that the roads are so unsafe. Yet, when you really look at the studies, highway studies from across the country, our roads are so much safer today than they were 50 years ago.
Sure,
even 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. Fewer people. I mean, yes, it's true. People still die on the highways. But more people walk away from an accident. Seatbelts, better design with vehicles. The fact that there's not a spear on your steering wheel. I mean, some of those old vehicles, it was all metal. If your head went into that dash, forget going through the windshield.
Yeah.
It was the dash that would crack your skull open.
Yeah.
Beautiful metal chrome dashes and steering wheels just killed people. So today we're far safer.
All right. So it's illegal to be a passenger, I guess, in your own vehicle. You have to have somebody driving, even though this
well,
car
there must be some sort of a technicality or a driving law in California.
No, I just like the guy
they arrested him.
I was following a car one time and he broke really hard, and it was able to stop. Elon Musk knows what he's doing.
I said that mine is only like a small assist that goes with mine and the Mazda.
It's noticeable,
and it hits. If you get too close to something, it'll hit the brakes on it. A study ranked the grossest states in America by looking at things like air quality, how many landfills there are, and for some reason, how many people wear Crocs. I don't understand
Is that right?
According to the results, the grossest states are Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Texas. The least gross states, Alaska, Nebraska, Idaho, and Maine.
Well, yeah.
I could see Alaska and Maine getting in there, and probably, Idaho as well.
Well, the other three is, Nebraska. I mean, those are states where there's not a huge population, right?
Right. That's probably...
That's why it's so clean. There ain't nobody there.
All of the states. All those states.
Yeah, I have to imagine, too, in Maine, they wear a lot of Crocs. So
Yeah.
How did they get on the least
I don't know.
Disgusting
I don't know how it happened. And how about question? Storm chaser was pulled over for speeding by a police officer. There should be some sort of an addendum to the law.
Yes.
Storm chasers should be allowed to speed. How else are they going to chase the hurricane?
We're talking about like tornado or something?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you imagine getting pulled over and there's a tornado on the
You're right.
on the horizon? You're like, officer, are you kidding me?
You've got your little radar thing going around and around on top of the van and then the vehicle, and you're speeding down the road, and a cop pulls you over. It's like, listen, I don't have a lot of time here. Getting away from me. Sorry, you were speeding. Of course I was speeding. So's the tornado. How else do you chase it? He seemed to enjoy the storm chaser talk about the tornado he was tracking. The police officer. Here's some audio on that.
I'm just tracking this tornado. I'm a tornado chaser.
Tornado chaser, are you?
Yeah, I was just in the one we had hid in the gas station down here. I got like a crazy video. That gas station right down there in Colgate.
I think he's telling the truth because you can hear his little radar thing going on in the background. And the cop's like, "Oh, you're a storm chaser, are you? Okay. All right, yeah."
License and registration, sir.
That's right. You're getting a ticket. Okay, got to break here. And coming up next hour, we'll speak with John Decker in a few minutes and everything going on, including the Liz Cheney story. John is, of course, now no longer with Fox News. He is left and is the chief White House correspondent for Gray TV. Whenever you see the White House press conferences, oftentimes you'll see John out there. Samantha Colosimo-Testa is on about the funding that's coming from the federal government. Utica's got a lot of money coming, but the county executive would like to see that money pooled and everybody work together. Kind of wonder if we're able to do that. It'd be nice if we can. So you're working for one and pushing for one common goal. Also next hour, our free money question of the day. And what about these cyber attacks? Dan Khalil works out at Griffiths. When it comes to cyber attacks and security for not just a pipeline, but what about your business, right? What about our municipalities, our schools and hospitals and all of that? We'll speak with Dan coming up next hour as well. And Andrea will update them. That will include a forecast.
A nice one.
That is pleasant. We will really are looking at a pretty nice weekend.
Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the PrizePicks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on PrizePicks for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy.